that. They'd never come back to your house again. They'd be cursing at you as they walked out the door. Isn't that so? So socialization of food really is a very, very deeply ingrained problem. We also think of food sexually. Yes, sexually. That doesn't mean you want to kiss an apple, although some of you may. But what it means is that when you don't feel loved, when you don't feel fulfilled on that basic level, that what we tend to do, as I remember in the old days when I became very big, is we ate to fill up those little holes of deficiency of love. Do you follow? So we call that comfort food. I don't know what's so comfortable about it, because when you eat enough of it, you become quite uncomfortable. That I can promise you. And so we think of food in, again, sensual, social, and sexual ways. Not what we should. This is the absolute wrong way to think about it. We should put a big R here. We think of food rationally. Now, when we do that, it's interesting, because food is chemistry. And let's take away all the fun part of who you think you are and get down to the basics of what you are. You're an electrical chemistry. And this anatomy you have is just a remarkable, gathering of elements that, in a way, it's almost mystical how it came together. And you became the human being of today in the 21st century. But what we do know is that your body's chemistry requires certain chemistry to keep it going. Not unlike an automobile requires petrol, gasoline. If you don't have petrol or gasoline in the car, you could have a Rolls Royce and sit there all day long if you put water into the tank. Water doesn't work in a Rolls Royce, does it? Well, the nonsense that you've been calling food doesn't work in the human body. And that's why most of you broke down, just like the automobile engine, that you've been feeding non-nutritive substance to your body, that at best breaks down to sugar and fats and pretty much clogs the engine, clogs the pipes in the engine, and makes you what we call ill at this point. So we've got to change the chemistry that we're putting into your tank to make sure that in the future that you're going to thrive and flourish from eating the proper food, rather than the nonsense you've been putting in your mouth calling food. Whenever I write about this in my books and writings, I always put quotations around food, because what we consider food isn't food when you think about that. So we're going to come up now with understanding that we're not going to eat one food at a time, that that's untenable, because psychologically, emotionally, and socially, it's almost impossible to do that. But we've done the work for you. Over the decades, and all of this understanding really came about starting in the 19th century. And we've learned more and more and more as there's more empirical evidence from biology and anatomy and biochemistry that came together. And so we pretty much figured out that there's certain ways you can eat that in a way mimic very simple eating, but it's not one food at a time, it's gatherings of food. Now, if you open up your manuals, the Hippocrates manuals here, to the chapter on food combining, there's a chart there. Now, I hope all of the students in Wigmore Hall carry that with you. And if you've been negligent and forgot to, what we'll do is we'll cozy up next to a better student who's carried that book around. Now, if you look at the food combining chart that's in that manual, we're going to make this really simple. We're not going to give you complicated biochemical explanations. We're going to make this into several rules. And I promise you, if you listen to these very simple rules and follow them, this is going to make you much, much healthier. Now, before we start, I want to say something loud and clear to you. I want to say that eating a plant-based organic diet is paramount. It's right at the top of the list. But equally important is combining this properly. As we go through this process, you're actually going to learn that you could eat the best food in the world like you're eating here at Hippocrates and still be sick if you combine it incorrectly. No different than when you were a child and you were in school and the chemistry teacher came in and said, please never ever mix what's in this bottle with what's in this bottle. Because you know if you mix those two bottles together, the place would blow up. And in this case, you've been mixing those chemistries together and the place blew up. We have polite words for it. We're bloating. we're uncomfortable, we have gas. Now they have diseases that they actually say you regurgitate, and now they have medicines to keep the regurgitation down because of all these bad combinations. But at the end of the day, you're not eating the way the body was built to eat. So number one rule, this is a big rule. If you get this one, we're halfway through the process, is look up there in the left-hand corner, that's protein. And on the Living Food Hippocrates diet, proteins, quite simple, are nuts and seeds and what we make from nuts and seeds. Now think of all the things we make from nuts and seeds. We make burgers, and we make loaves, and we make sauces, and we make croquettes. So in a way, it's almost magically in your mind a meat or a veggie burger substitute. And a lot of us need this in the early stage. I mean, I don't think I would have continued on the Hippocrates diet if I didn't have those substitutes for the veggie burgers I was used to. A lot of you need this because of the meatloaf that you were used to. So this is heavy protein-based foods. So there it is, that category up to the left. Then we look at this category over here. This is starchy carbs. And that's grains and beans and things like many of the root vegetables. Now we love that group because the way most of us choose to eat grains is we take them and we grind them up into powder, and we put yeast and we put sugar, and we make breads and cookies and cakes. And boy, do we love them, because they all turn into what? Sugar. And we're all sugar addicts. Then you have beans, for instance, and the beans, again, all of these should be sprouted, are really great substitutes too that are not quite as heavy as the nuts and seeds that you could make a bean burger out of, or a bean casserole out of. Or if you grind it up, for instance, in a Cuisinart or in a great high-speed blender, you can actually make little dips out of these things. And then some of the root vegetables. Now let's go down to the next group here that we're coordinating this with. This is the vegetable category. And in that category are other sprouts, all other sprouts. And let's describe what that means. These are nut sprouts and seed sprouts. So a nut would be, for instance, an almond or a filbert, or which is a hazelnut, or a pine nut. And a seed would be a sunflower seed, a sesame seed, a pumpkin seed. You understand what I'm talking about here? Now, we come over to this side. A grain would be everything from a wheat to a millet to a quinoa to a teff. A bean would be everything other than soya beans and black beans. They're the two you avoid, soybeans and black beans. But every other bean, pinto bean and fava bean and flat bean and yellow bean and navy bean and red bean, and the list goes on, pinto bean. And then, of course, most root vegetables. We all know what that is. And here at Hippocrates, although eating a handful of carrots occasionally is not a problem, but we'd rather have the kind of old-fashioned root vegetables that don't have a really high fructose content. So the kind we like are what? Turnips and rutabaga and jicama, things with a lower amount of fructose. And why we like that, it's filling. These are high water content foods, but they're very filling. Now, what else is here? All vegetables, too. Every vegetable's in that category. And the sprouts that I want to distinguish here are things like mung bean and aduki sprouts. Now, over here, these grain sprouts and bean sprouts are basically grown for 2 days. So all grains that you germinate take about 2 days to germinate. All beans that you germinate take 2 days to germinate. And why we would distinguish the mung bean and aduki beans, they're more succulent. They take 5-6 days to grow. And in fact, these are so digestible. When they've done research on the most digestible of all foods, Chinese bean sprouts, mung bean sprouts, always come up at the top of the list. One day, take the long white mung bean sprout here, put it in your mouth, don't chew it, and watch, it actually dissolves in your mouth. So amazing. So now, here's the rule. We're going to get to the rule now, and we're going to have 3 other rules. So this is an important one. Proteins and starchy carbs never, ever go together. That's an extremely poor combination. Ironically, it's the one combination that every cuisine in the world does most. What is meat and potatoes? What is fish and rice? Even the vegan, what is a nut butter sandwich? Do you follow? So the one big problem that we have is worldwide, internationally, at health stores, vegans, everyone, even thinking that they're health people, are doing this wrong. Now, why this is a big problem, and why I tell you if you understand this, you're halfway there, is that when you put proteins of any type together with starchy carbs, that you literally end up creating over 120 different chemicals. The most notable is sulfur. Now, you know this because the wondrous fragrance that's been somehow coming out of you that you never take credit for smells like rotten eggs. Rotten eggs is a sign of sulfur. And that's only one of 120 different chemicals that are created. So you think you're getting nutrition with this. You're mixing the chemistry from this bottle incorrectly with the chemistry from this bottle, and it's creating bloating, gas, disruption. And if you do enough of this, a disease called auto-reflux disease. Isn't that interesting? That you're actually regurgitating so much acid, it comes up and burns the esophagus, and it's a good pathway to get esophageal cancer. Now, that's what you do if you do this long enough. Now, ironically, proteins go beautifully with this vegetable group, with their all other sprouts and all vegetables and aduki, and it goes beautifully with starchy carbs. So here's where we now start to talk about how to discipline your eating. Now, these are basic standard rules, and you've got to listen to it and internalize this. Don't just say, well, that's the rule, I've got to follow it. Understand why. If you look at your papers there in the Hippocrates manual, underneath protein, it tells you it takes for a healthy body how many hours for the protein to digest? 4 hours. So now, if I were to say to you, is it best to eat a nut loaf, a seed sauce, a seed burger, a nut burger at 8 o'clock at night or at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon? What's the obvious answer? In the afternoon. Because you want to have time to digest it. You want to have time to digest it. Many times I'll leave here at night, I'll be working, I'll eat at 8 o'clock and I'll go to bed at 10 o'clock. Now what happens if I choose or you choose to eat a big, intense, heavy nut loaf? Well, I'm not going to sleep well, number one. Number two, the food's never going to digest. It's going to ferment in my intestinal tract. And number three, what you ate, and in this case, we're talking about organic, healthy, living food, is now going to be a disservice for you rather than a service for you. Isn't that amazing? So something that could be incredibly good if you ate it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is quite damaging if you go to bed and haven't digested it ahead of time. Now, ideally you eat the starchy carb at night because that takes about 2 hours to digest in the body. So if you ate at 8 o'clock and went to bed at 10 o'clock, then it's already through the digestion process. So again, a grain may be in your dehydrator, you make a raw bread out of a wide variety of grains you can. A bean burger can be eaten, or even a bean loaf, pretty delicious. And some of the beans are, interesting that you can put in there. Fava beans are very much like chickpeas. How many of us like chickpeas here? You know why? Because it's very high protein and it's fatty. So it reminds us in a way of that old diet that we're on, fat and protein. And so these are healthy fats and proteins that, by the way, when you germinate them, become significantly more digestible. And once again, to repeat, in every single category here, we're talking about nuts and seeds and grains and beans. They all should be sprouted. They all should be germinated first. 2 reasons. Number one, the significance of the increase in nutritional value. Every single nutrient minimally goes up 8 times. So you get 8 times more nutrition out of it. Some go up 30 times, 40 times, but 8 times average. Number 2, the digestibility becomes 5, 6, 8, 10 times more when you germinate something. It becomes, as Ann Wigmore would have said at one point, a pre-digested food. So number 1 rule, we're going to go through it, and if you get this, you're halfway there. That's how important this is. Protein should never be mixed with starchy carbs. On a healthy living food diet, a protein is a nut or a seed or what we make from it. Starchy carb, grain, bean, what we make from it, or root vegetables. Both go beautifully with vegetables, which are all other sprouts, Now, what would that be? Light leafy green sprouts, sunflower green sprouts, clover sprouts, fenugreek sprouts, all of those. All other vegetables, period, every vegetable, and things like mung bean and the dookie. In a perfect world, you're eating your protein meal in the middle of the day when your hydrochloric acid between 11:30 in the morning and 1:30 in the afternoon is most active, meaning that your body actually says, this is when I can digest protein better, because hydrochloric acid is right there as one of the #1 ways to digest protein. So try to do it at that point of the day. Starchy carbs at night. Now, what happens if you break this rule? Well, you're going to burn, burn, burn. Not really. Don't worry about it. Remember, most of you used to eat pork chops and go to bed at night. So if you're out having a party at some point and somebody offers you raw nuts and it's 10 o'clock at night, don't go nuts on this. You know, you can make a mistake occasionally. Just try to make the rules what you do all of the time. So have you all gotten this? Give yourself a hand. You're a pretty smart group. You're moving right along here. Now we go to the #2 rule, and this is one of the hardest rules here at Hippocrates, because I know that at one point, decades ago, if you'd said to me, have you ever eaten a raw food? Well, the only thing I would have been able to come up with is every once in a while when I could not find a candy bar or cake or ice cream, just because I needed something sweet, I would eat fruit. Not that I liked fruit. Fruit was never sweet enough. I don't know how many of your homes did what my home did, but my loving parents, wonderful parents, when we ate cantaloupe, we put sugar on it, because cantaloupe wasn't sweet enough. How many of you remember that? I mean, it's like amazing. It's amazing. Can you imagine how addicted our bodies are to sugar? So with that said, we're going to talk about fruit. So you come to Hippocrates and say what I would have said at one point, oh, raw food, that's not that bad. We're going to eat lots of fruit. And then all at once you see our medical team here, and our medical team says to you, it's like a little tiny flower that's withering. Oh, what am I going to do? It. You have acid fruit, and we're going to just give some examples. We could go elaborately for hours on this one. Acid fruits are things like strawberries and citrus fruit and things like kiwi fruit. Subacid, that's a big, big category. There's so many things in there. We'll just give you some examples. Apples are in there, and papaya is in there, and grapes are in there, and that list just continues on. And here's the one over here that most of you are going to be advised to avoid, the sweet fruits, the ones you like the most. Things like banana, and my big one was dried fruit. Boy, oh boy, when I first became a raw fooder, my teeth would throb. I ate so many pounds of dried fruit a week. And my favorite were those organic, of course, they always had to be organic dried pineapple. How about the Madule dates? Boy, they would knock me out. I'd be high eating Madule dates. You know, I'd eat like a kilo, 2 pounds of this at a time. You know, bad news. Now, you're going to hear as we go through this. Now, we by chance, over 3 decades ago, found out from our icon, Edie Mae Hunsberg, who wrote the book called How I Conquered Cancer Naturally, where she described her stage 4 breast cancer, how she reversed it on lifestyle. And she started to call us and report to us that her tumors were growing, but not her cancer. After a short period of 3 years, we found out that what it was is during date season, she would eat large amounts of date, her tumor would grow, thank God never proliferated into cancer again. When date season was over in Southern California,
hospital for about a week with a highly compromised immune system. I was getting sick with all types of viruses. I had electrolyte imbalances. My memory was shot from what's called chemo brain. Had a hard time remembering my own phone number, let alone anything else. And with it, I learned statistically I had less than 40% chance of living 5 years. So I knew I had to start taking my health into my own hands. I started to do a tremendous amount of research and started reading books and scouring the internet on health and nutrition and cancer. Started meeting with registered dietitians and other integrative and naturopathic physicians. And as I continued down that pathway, I started to do lots of seminars and workshops on health and nutrition. And in Philadelphia, there was a weekend seminar teaching how to do raw and living foods. And the keynote speaker was Brian Clement, our director here. And what he said really made a lot of sense to me, that we've had lots of people that have done well with the program in the past, a lot of good science behind it. And I started to introduce those foods into my life back then. I started to feel better. And I started to get my energy back, and my memory started to come back, and weight started to come off my body I didn't need. I lost some 50 pounds over time. And as I did better and better, I came here as a guest myself, and then later I did the Health Educator program, which is the program for 9 weeks. It gets a bit more in depth with the lifestyle and other integrative therapies. And I actually quit my job to actually do that program because I knew it was something that I needed to do in my life so I could help other people. And fast forward 15 years later, fully recovered from stage 4 cancer. And I can tell you, without having changed my lifestyle, most likely I wouldn't have the opportunity of speaking today. So it's helped me tremendously. And working here as a nurse for almost 6 years has been very rewarding because I get to see people from all over the world. And as they are consistent with the lifestyle, I see them do very well with whatever health goals they have. And like we said, though, this morning, we're going to get into internal awareness. And we're going to talk a bit about that digestive system and ways we can help it, ways we can keep it clean and working optimally. You're also going to get a tour of the wheatgrass juice bar. And that wheatgrass is a true superfood, very high in chlorophyll and phytonutrients. And those phytonutrients are really some of the true healers of disorders. You're going to learn what we offer in the way of fitness, and then a little later you're going to have lunch. So the body seeks perfection, but the body is perfection. It's always working on balance, or what's called homeostasis. It wants that optimal health. It wants that optimal weight. It's going to work for that. Now, sometimes, though, we're going to have events in our life where we're going to have parties, and we're going to have graduations, and we're going to have things like Thanksgiving and all these nice things that we do to celebrate. And we may overindulge a little bit more than we normally would. And when we start to get into that overindulgence, our gastrointestinal system can't always keep up with that burden. And that's where we get into what I call use, abuse, and misuse. But when we start to get into abuse over long periods of time, we're going to run into what I call internal trouble. And if we go down that pathway of internal trouble, well, there's one thing that we need to realize. A poor gastrointestinal system can equal up to 80% of all ailments, because in large part, these are temporary disorders. When you start giving the body what it needs, you can allow those natural healing processes to take over to allow the body to recover. And water is critically important with that. No shortage of water here at Hippocrates, very pure water as well. And that water is going to help you flush out different toxins and impurities that you may encounter in the environment. And when you're looking at our bodies are mostly water, roughly about 70% water there. And then when you're looking at systems of our bodies, like our lymphatic system, that's 90% water there. And that's basically the system that's keeping us alive. It's protecting us from the bacteria, the viruses, the cancer cells. So that's not a system that we want to compromise. And then when we're looking at things like our blood, that's 90% water there as well. And that's carrying all the nutrients to 100 trillion cells. It's carrying all the oxygen. So definitely dairy can be a problem with that mucoid plaque, and actually the countries that consume the most dairy actually have the highest levels of osteoporosis. And if you look at some of the work done by Dr. Colin T. Campbell, one of the top nutritional researchers out of Cornell University, when he studied the dairy and the protein in dairy, casein, found that it had a higher correlation with cancer than cigarettes. In his experiments, in his book, The China Study, he could literally turn cancer on or off depending on what protein he gave.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement, the co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And many people don't realize that heart and brain are related, kind of like a great marriage. Well, it's supposed to be, but according to CDC, every 30 seconds, someone dies from a cardiovascular disease, mainly heart attack. Every 4 minutes, someone dies from a brain stroke, which is a brain attack. So this is horrendous. This is totally preventable. And so many people could have had learned from their cardiologist about lifestyle. So many people have come through our institute and saved many, many years of their life where they were told that the next heart attack, that will do you in. You know that the President Clinton became plant-based when after 2 heart attacks, he was risking a 3rd. So how do we prevent this? Well, the first thing I want to talk about is actually your teeth. So what on earth does your teeth have to do with your heart and brain? Tons. So now, because we have a diet that we've never seen on this planet, with carbs de galore, with sugar de galore, with meat, with animal-based foods, all of this actually, what it does, because in our gums you have billions of microbes. They're different than the microbes you have in your gut. So these microbes, some, 80% are probably good, or maybe more, but there is a little bit of bad, and some of them are called spirochetes, and they live very deep in your gums, and they feed off sugar. So when I'm eating sugar and I'm eating animal-based food, makes my body very acidic, and it's actually feeding these bacteria. They love it, and their job is now to destroy my teeth, and I end up with implants or cavities, and then eventually I might lose my tooth. When they look at fossils that are millions of years old, they have some strong teeth still. Now, today, we're lucky if we have our teeth for a lifetime, right? So, on top of your tooth is this really strong cover, the enamel, and it's mainly the calcium and the phosphate. And you would think it's the strongest bone. It's the strongest bone we have in our body. That what on earth could eat this up? What are we doing wrong today? And what is this doing to our heart and brain? So this is what's happening. These bacteria, spirochetes actually look like a corkscrew, and they can get into my brain, they can get into my heart, and they know that 150% greater risk for heart attack from these spirochetes that is in my gums, that I've been feeding with diet I should never have had, right? That the world has never seen until very recent. And they know that strokes, 280% greater risk. So here we have people, every 4 minutes is a stroke, every 30 seconds a heart attack. This is totally preventable. So, there is a lot of things we need to talk.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. Coconuts grow on large palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the coconut is a fruit rather than a nut. Undoubtedly, cytokinins or plant hormones are the most important components in coconut water. But more research needs to be. Undoubtedly, palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition. Hippocrates Wellness, Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Hippocrates Wellness, Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition. Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
And here's a lucky guy. This is his picture.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based Hippocrates Wellness, plant.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Everyone's bellies filled? Let's see your bellies. Hold them out. So today we're going to speak about a very important part of the dietary part of the program. Now, I always equate this with American baseball. Now, many of you in Wigmore Hall here, they don't understand the rules of baseball, but it's 3 strikes and you're out. So when you come to Hippocrates, the first strike we give you, we say you have to give up all animal-based foods. And so you begin crying and gnashing of the teeth, but deep down inside of you, you have common sense, so you say, well, of course that makes sense. Why would I have to eat the flesh of an animal or take milk out of its bosom and all of that? The second strike, we say you have to eat either 100% raw living food or close to 100%. Even the healthiest people listening today all have to be eating a minimum of 75–80% raw food just to have health, vitality, vigor in your life. Well, you ready for strike 3? Get ready. Now you have to. Now we go to the number 2 rule, and this is one of the hardest rules here at Hippocrates because
Hippocrates Wellness, Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
the second
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
Now, back a long time ago, the group we now call the pharmaceutical industry.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement, the co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And many people don't realize. Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement, the co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement and co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And today I want to show you how we make this world-famous Hippocrates green drink. And there is a lot of goodies in here that will help your whole system and give you health. We have the famous sunflower sprouts. Sunflower sprouts, well, what's so good about them? They are a huge part of this program. We eat them, we drink them, and they have perfect protein. They also help every cell in your body. They help the skeletal system, your muscular system, circulation, of course, and your neurological system. And I will also add pea sprouts. Pea sprouts have protease and helps you digest protein better. And it also helps neurological and your skeletal and muscular system. Then I will add celery. What's so good about celery? It has organic sodium, really helps your circulation, so it's great for your heart. Then you have cucumber, which I've cut up already, but cucumber has minerals that really helps your kidney, bladder, your lungs, your joints. So I want to have that. And of course, I'm called the garlic queen. I like to put garlic in everything, and especially in these days when we need to have even more health and boost our whole system and every cell in your body. So I use a machine that will grind the sprouts and the vegetables. Realize also that sprouts, these are very special because...
Welcome here to Hippocrates Health Institute. Ever since January 1956, people have been arriving here from all over the world.
Hi guys, I'm Elle McPherson and I am here at the beautiful Hippocrates Wellness Center here in Florida, Palm Beach. I've been here for a couple of times. I absolutely love this place. I love the theories and the education that I've learned here, and also all the practices. So today we're going to have a little chat about wheatgrass, which is ancient technology for the 21st century. This has been around for years and years and years. It is some of the most nutrient-dense product that you can find. Nutrient-dense grass that you can find, it's wheatgrass. 1 ounce of wheatgrass is equal to
Welcome here to Hippocrates Health.
Hi guys, I'm Elle McPherson and I am here at the
Welcome here to Hippocrates Health Institute.
Hi guys, I'm Elle McPherson and I am here at the beautiful Hippocrates Wellness Center here in Florida, Palm Beach. I've been here for a couple of times.
Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement and co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And today I want to show you how we make this world-famous Hippocrates green drink.
Welcome here to Hippocrates Health Institute. Ever since January 1956, people have been arriving here from all over the world to change their lives. We are so excited about having you here on the campus with us. There's a few little bits of advice I'd like to give you. First thing you have to do is check at
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. Coconuts grow on large palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the coconut is a fruit rather than a nut. Undoubtedly, cytokinins or plant hormones are the most important components in coconut water. But more research needs to be undertaken to understand the power of drinking fresh coconut water from a freshly picked coconut. Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
Welcome to Detox and Elimination. You've been doing this all your life. Hopefully you will learn to do it so much.
Hippocrates Wellness, Hippocrates Wellness, plant. Hippocrates Wellness.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement and co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And today I want to show you how we make this world-famous Hippocrates green drink. And there is a lot of goodies in here that will help your whole system and give you health. We have the famous sunflower sprouts. Sunflower sprouts, well, what's so good about them? They are a huge part of this program. We eat them, we drink them, and they have perfect protein. They also help.
Welcome here to
Hi, my name is Anna Maria Clement and co-director of Hippocrates Health Institute. And today I want to show you how we make this world-famous Hippocrates green drink. And there is a lot of goodies in here that will help your whole system and give you health. We have the famous sunflower sprouts. Sunflower sprouts, well, what's so good about them? They are a huge part of this program. We eat them, we drink them, and they have perfect protein. They also help every cell in your body. They help the skeletal system, your muscular system, circulation, of course, and your neurological system. And I will also add
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. Coconuts grow on large palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the coconut is a fruit rather than a nut. Undoubtedly, cytokinins or plant hormones are the most important components in coconut water. But more research needs to be undertaken to understand the power of drinking fresh coconut water from a freshly picked coconut. The effect of cytokinins was first reported when it was found that adding the liquid endosperm of coconuts to developing plant embryos in culture stimulated their growth. A study published in 2010 from Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise demonstrated that coconut water replaced bodily fluids as good as a typical sports drink and slightly better than water. One small study gave coconut water to people with high blood pressure. 71% experienced significant improvements to systolic blood pressure, which is the higher number of a blood pressure reading. Coconut water has a unique chemical composition of sugars, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and phytohormones. Coconut water contains 3 big minerals: potassium, calcium, and magnesium. A typical sized banana has approximately 422 milligrams of potassium, compared to 660 milligrams with a regular sized coconut. As yet, few studies have been carried out on humans, but animal studies are encouraging. Research has shown that coconut water can lower blood sugar levels and improve other health markers in diabetic animals. A study with rats found liver damage showed significant improvement when they were treated with coconut water. In another study, rats that consumed coconut water had reductions in blood cholesterol and triglycerides. They also experienced significant decreases in liver fat. Coconut water, being a refreshing beverage, can provide important health benefits we are learning. But more research is needed to understand the functions and properties of the individual components of coconut water. Coconut water, a marvelous and multi-dimensional liquid with special biological properties from nature. Drink fresh coconut water, but straight from a coconut, not the type you purchase from a shop. Live the Hippocrates wellness lifestyle. Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program.
Welcome to Detox and Elimination. You've been doing this all your life. Hopefully you will learn to do it so much better now. And, you know, every day you need to get rid of toxins. And every day you get polluted and you start up again. You know, you get out in the traffic, you will have pollution happening. You eat something, maybe that's processed, it's gonna have some chemicals in it. The water you drink might not be the purest. And you eat out in restaurants, you know, you can contract things. So every day needs to be a good day to help your body detoxify and eliminate. So exercise, of course, is a big part of this. Perspiring is a big part. And yes, we perspire when we exercise, but we also will go into saunas or steam baths to help our body eliminate, as your skin is the largest elimination organ in your body. Boy, when you perspire, you get rid of a lot of toxins, and it's one of the major parts to help your body get rid of heavy metals and chemicals. So I'll take you through this detox and elimination, and you know, a lot of things have happened in your life. A lot of things are maybe more emotional, spiritual, like really every problem we have has a spiritual base. But then you have all the physical stuff that you can help with lifestyle, with diet, with taking care of yourself daily, and to clean up with juices like we do here at the Institute. We make juices out of sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts and celery, cucumber, and a lot of greens. And sprouts is, of course, an amazing food, as every plant that's out there has evolved to survive. And you're talking hundreds of millions of years, these plants have evolved. And they actually have, to survive other predator, they've had to make some kind of pesticide, with a little poison with, and it's very small amount. And so when we are eating these plants, we get this. And now they find that, and this was done at Johns Hopkins, and as a neuroscientist, Dr. Matson, found that, wow, these tiny little pesticides that you get from these foods, the greens, the sprouts, have the ability to protect your body and especially protect your brain. So imagine that. It can help to protect you from Parkinson, Alzheimer, and other problems. So, you know, I hope that makes you want to eat more of the greens and drink more of the greens, and protect yourself with the power that they can give you. And, you know, meat and chicken and fish and eggs and dairy products does not have that. It does not have that. And, you know, if you look at pollution, we all worry about the carbon dioxide pollution and where is it coming from most, and is it the factories, is it our cars? No, it is our production of meat, of pork, of chickens. It is that kind of production that actually creates more carbon dioxide pollution than anything. So the way to go is to help your body become a vegan. And I want to introduce, of course, Ann Wigmore, who founded this institute in 1956 in Boston. And being Lithuanian, she was brought up with natural medicine, herbs and plants, how to heal herself. Came to America as a teenager as her parents moved here. And she was very sickly. And eventually, at 50 years old, by 1951, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And she went back to her roots and healed herself naturally. And that's how the Institute started in Boston. And it moved to Florida in 1986, and we opened here in 1987. And it's been amazing to be in Florida because we could be outdoors, we could move, we could build more. And we love Boston, but you know, the weather is better in Florida. So here's Ann Wigmore.
What life is all about is just that sharing. When you give, if you give anything at all of yourself or your knowledge or whatever you may have within you, then that is receiving really for yourself.
Ja, livet det handlar ju egentligen om att man ska dela med sig av sin kunskap, och då får man ju också väldigt mycket tillbaks.
You see, we can't give anything and nobody can take anything away from us that belongs to us.
Därför att det är ju ingen som kan ta ifrån oss någonting som tillhör oss.
So I feel very grateful and I feel very appreciative that I had this opportunity, and I really mean it. So I like to give somebody a hug, not your friend, but somebody that you perhaps do not have as a neighbor or your friend. Give each other a hug, and then come and give me a few too.
Vi skal takke Ann Vigmor for dette strålende budskab, hun kommer med til os. Hendes idéer kan redde en verden i dybeste nød, som er på vej nedover i alkoholisme, i kriminalitet, i sygdomme. Det, som hun taler om, levende føde, det er det, som kan redde os alle nationer og hele verden. Det påvirker mentaliteten. Vi kan ikke nok takke hende. Men nu skal vi ikke gå herfra bare og have fået noget i hænderne. Men vi har fået noget i hænderne, som vi skal arbejde med. Og gå herfra som helsens ambassadører og bringe dette budskab videre til alle vi møder.
So let me explain. So first we heard Ann Vigmor, and she was speaking in a conference in Stockholm, and that's why there was Swedish translation. And I met Ann Vigmor 1976 the first time. She came to Stockholm to have lecture, and I'm from Sweden, and I ran a clinic in Sweden with Alma Nissen. Alma Nissen, long story short, she had rheumatoid arthritis, and by the time she was
of your preconceived notions and ideas. Number 2, open your heart for change and for progress. And number 3, have a lot of fun and relax.
Thank you for coming. And you know, we know what it takes to come here, and a lot of you come from other countries and you're on a different time zone. A lot of you probably exhausted, but we will.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. One small study gave coconut water to people with high blood pressure. 71% experienced significant improvements to systolic blood pressure, which is the higher number of a blood pressure reading. Coconut water has a unique chemical composition of sugars, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and phytohormones. Coconut water contains 3 big minerals: potassium, calcium, and magnesium. A typical sized banana has approximately 422 milligrams of potassium, compared to 660 milligrams with a regular sized coconut. As yet, few studies have been carried out on humans, but animal studies are encouraging. Research has shown that coconut water can lower blood sugar levels and improve other health markers in diabetic animals. A study with rats found liver damage showed significant improvement when they were treated with coconut water. In another study, rats that consumed coconut water had reductions in blood cholesterol and triglycerides. They also experienced significant decreases in liver fat. Coconut water, being a refreshing beverage, can provide important health benefits we are learning. But more research is needed to understand the functions and properties of the individual components of coconut water. Coconut water, a marvelous and multi-dimensional liquid with special biological properties from nature. Drink fresh coconut water, but straight from a coconut, not the type you purchase from a shop. Live the Hippocrates wellness lifestyle.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Everyone's bellies filled? Let's see your bellies. Hold them out.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. Coconuts grow on large palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the coconut is a fruit rather than a nut. Undoubtedly, cytokinins or plant hormones are the most important components in coconut water. But more research needs to be undertaken to understand the power of drinking fresh coconut water from a freshly picked coconut. The effect of cytokinins was first reported when it was found that adding the liquid endosperm of coconuts to developing plant embryos in culture stimulated their growth. A study published in 2010 from Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise demonstrated that coconut water replaced bodily fluids as good as a typical sports drink and slightly better than water. One small study gave coconut water to people with high blood pressure. 71% experienced significant improvements to systolic blood pressure, which is the higher number of a blood pressure reading. Coconut water has a unique chemical composition of sugars, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and phytohormones. Coconut water contains 3 big minerals: potassium, calcium, and magnesium. A typical sized banana has approximately 422 milligrams of potassium, compared to 660 milligrams with a regular sized coconut. As yet, few studies have been carried out on humans, but animal studies are encouraging. Research has shown that coconut water can lower blood sugar levels and improve other health markers in diabetic animals. A study with rats found liver damage showed significant improvement when they were treated with coconut water. In another study, rats that consumed coconut water had reductions in blood cholesterol and triglycerides. They also experienced significant decreases in liver fat. Coconut water, being a refreshing beverage, can provide important health benefits we are learning. But more research is needed to understand the functions and properties of the individual components of coconut water. Coconut water, a marvelous and multi-dimensional liquid with special biological properties from nature. Drink fresh coconut water, but straight from a coconut, not the type you purchase from a shop. Live the Hippocrates wellness lifestyle.
From other countries, and you're on a different time zone. A lot of you probably exhausted, but we will make that all go away. We will give you the best nutrition you ever had, pamper you with therapies, exercise, and just the beautiful Florida weather. I hope that you will take a deep breath and say, I'm going to be very happy here, and we can't wait to see you.
That's right. And let me tell you, you're going to be seeing probably more than you.
Hippocrates Wellness, plant-based nutrition and wellness program. Coconut water. Coconuts grow on large palm trees known scientifically as Cocos nocifera. Despite the name, the coconut is a fruit rather than a nut. Undoubtedly, cytokinins or plant hormones are the most important components in coconut water. But more research needs to be undertaken to understand the power of drinking fresh coconut water from a freshly picked coconut. The effect of cytokinins was first reported when it was found that adding the liquid endosperm of coconuts to developing plant embryos in culture stimulated their growth. A study published in 2010 from Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise demonstrated that coconut water replaced bodily fluids as good as a typical sports drink and slightly better than water. One small study gave coconut water to people with high blood pressure. 71% experienced significant improvements to systolic blood pressure, which is the higher number of a blood pressure reading. Coconut water has a unique chemical composition of sugars, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and phytohormones. Coconut water contains 3 big minerals: potassium, calcium, and magnesium. A typical sized banana has approximately 422 milligrams of potassium, compared to 660 milligrams with a regular sized coconut. As yet, few studies have been carried out on humans, but animal studies are encouraging. Research has shown that coconut water can lower blood sugar levels and improve other health markers in diabetic animals. A study with rats found liver damage showed significant improvement when they were treated with coconut water. In another study, rats that consumed coconut water had reductions in blood cholesterol and triglycerides. They also experienced significant decreases in liver fat. Coconut water, being a refreshing beverage, can